For our history lesson today, we're going to carry on with book 3 of the Story of the World. And today we are in the middle of the East. And the first part of the chapter is called the Persian Puzzle. Imagine you're putting together a huge puzzle map of the world. Each country is a different colour. On the far right-hand side of the puzzle, you fit together the white islands of Japan, just off the deep purple coast of China. You build India's orange shores, and then decide to go up above the Mediterranean Sea and assemble Europe. Europe is full of different colours. England is scarlet, France pink, Spain golden, Holland grey. You piece together the Atlantic Ocean and go to work on the continents of North and South America, but instead of the forest green you expect, North and South America are rainbowed with the colours of Europe. French pink, English scarlet and Dutch grey line the coast of North America. The whole western coast of South America is golden like Spain. The east part of the continent is the lime green of Portugal. You move back across the ocean to assemble Africa. But what happened to Africa's sapphire blue? Africa is patched over with Portuguese lime, Dutch grey and English scarlet. The colours of Europe have bled over into 3 other continents. Now it's time to assemble the blank area between Europe and China. You look around, wondering what colour this part of the world will be, and notice something odd. A pile of pieces are splattered with patches of a dozen different colours: silver, olive, maroon, copper, primrose, saffron, emerald, indigo, violet, jade, with a top layer of thin chestnut brown. These aren't European colours, they're the colours of the Middle East. You fit them together and see a country that's been ruled by empire after empire after empire, the country of Persia, lying between the Tigris River and the edge of China. The bottom layer on that puzzle piece is silver. It represents the Assyrian Empire, which ruled this part of the world long ago. But then Assyria was conquered by the Babylonians, the olive layer, who were then in turn defeated by the Persians. The Persians, the maroon colour, gave their land their name, but they didn't keep their empire. They were conquered by Alexander the Great. When Alexander died, his empire, copper, on your puzzle piece, was divided into 3 parts. His general Seleucus claimed Persia, but Seleucus and his descendants, called Seleucids, their empire's primrose yellow, couldn't keep control of Persia. One part of Persia, called Parthia, broke away from the Seleucids and set up a kingdom of their own. The Parthians, the saffron layer on those Persian pieces, grew larger as the Seleucids lost power. They even managed to keep off the Roman invaders who came from the west. For a short time, Parthia became the strongest empire in the Middle East. Then the Parthian kings began to quarrel with their noblemen, and the empire shrank until one of those noblemen threw the Parthian ruler from his throne and took over. His descendants, the Sassanid dynasty of Persia, ruled in the central part of Persia for many years. Their empire is emerald. But a wave of indigo was creeping across the map of the East. Down in the Arabian Peninsula, a prophet named Muhammad was gathering Arab followers around him. These Muslims spread Muhammad's message all across the medieval world and built the Islamic Empire. The Sassanid dynasty fell to Muslim invaders, and Persia became an Islamic nation. Meanwhile, nomads from Asia called Turks were wandering into Muslim Persia and settling down. They were fierce fighters. Many of them became soldiers in the army of the Islamic Empire. As time went on, the Turkish soldiers became just as powerful as their Arab masters. One group of Turks, the Ghaznavids, rejected Islamic rule and took over the land of Persia. The violet colour splattered over top the indigo represents the Ghaznavids. The Ghaznavids didn't have long to rule though. Soon, Mongols invaded from the east, destroying Persian cities and levelling crops. Mongol Khans, or warrior chiefs, took over the rule of Persia. Their conquest adds a layer of jade to your puzzle. Finally, a man named Ismail decided that the time had come to throw off the Mongol yoke. He gathered his kinsmen, who were called the Safavids, around him in an army and attacked the Mongol Khan. Ismail won. He crowned himself Shah, or ruler of Iran. Finally, you've arrived at that top layer of colour, the Safavid colour, chestnut brown, 10 empires, 10 layers of colour have ruled in this Middle Eastern country. The greatest Safavid Shah Abbas I was Ismail's great-grandson. Abbas didn't survive to be Shah. When he was still a very young man, his uncle seized the Persian throne and ordered all other heirs to the throne executed. But before this ruthless command could be carried out, Abbas's uncle had a huge party to celebrate his new power and drank himself to death. Abbas came to the throne, determined to bring strength to a country almost destroyed by war. His first step was to make peace with another Turkish kingdom, the Ottomans. These warlike Turks lived to the west of Persia and kept trying to invade it. Abbas knew that the Persian army was too weak to fight off the Ottomans, so he told the Ottomans that he would give them part of Persia as long as they would leave the rest in peace. The Ottoman Turks thought that Abbas was afraid to fight, but Abbas had a plan. He hired an English soldier, Sir Robert Shirley, to train the disorganised Persian army. Shirley taught Abbas's soldiers to use muskets and other European weapons. He organised them into divisions: infantrymen, musketeers, artillerymen. He trained them to fight in formation. After several years of this training, the Persian army faced the Ottoman Turks and crushed them in battle. Abbas reclaimed all of his territory and even took some Turkish land for his own. Now, Abbas turned to another project, making Persia into a great trading nation. The best port in Persia, an island in the Persian Gulf, had been claimed by the Portuguese. Abbas drove the Portuguese out and built his own trading post on the island. Then he brought Chinese craftsmen into Persia to rebuild the trades of silk making and carpet weaving. He built new roads and bridges so that goods could be carried through his empire. His new port, Bandar Abbas, became one of the busiest in the east. Today we call Persia Iran. Bandar Abbas is still an important Iranian port. But as Abbas laboured hard to make Persia secure, he became more and more fearful. He thought that his noblemen were plotting against him. He was afraid of his own brothers. He even suspected his own son of treachery and ordered him executed. When he died at the age of 70, Shah Abbas left behind him a strong and prosperous Persia, but he died overcome by grief and guilt.